everyone, welcome back to my ASMR channel. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about the 38 books I read in 2025. So I set the challenge of reading 25 books last year, and I read 38 because I started listening to audiobooks and I discovered BorrowBox, which is a I actually first joined the library and my friend helped me set my card up and it was so easy. And then I found out BorrowBox is an app where you can connect your library card and it allows you to get ebooks and audiobooks for free, which is so handy. Why is this not charging? Okay. I put my laptop into charge. Oh, it was on the wrong thing because I'm so bright. So let us begin with the first book, which is The Tao Te Ching of Lao Tzu. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but I think I read this last year because of the PewDiePie book challenge. And oh my god, my laptop is so loud. I'm very sorry about that. But I didn't end up finishing all the books he set. The second book I read was sorry, I just realized the dates I added for that were so wrong. But it's called Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. I think I meant to say I started it in 2024 and ended it in 2025, but I wrote 2022. But I gave this 4 stars and it's a really good book. It's a really good book and I'd really recommend it. I have read the first one. I still need to finish the series. The book I'm currently reading is A House of Flame and Shadow, and I read the last one in 2024. So I have a problem with series and I need to stop reading them. So the next book I read was The Green Road by Anne Enright. I gave this 3 stars. I read Down the Drain by Julia Fox and I did not rate it because sometimes I feel a bit odd reading a book by that's about someone's life, even though I know I'm kind of rating the writing more than the life, if that makes sense. I don't know, I just feel a bit odd. I read Normal People by Sally Rooney and I gave that 5 stars because I loved that book. I read The Sad Ghost Club, which I didn't rate because it was more of a comic than a book. I read Wild Love by Elsie Silver and I realized that I don't love Elsie Silver books. She just, her writing, I don't know, maybe it was just that plot. It didn't stick with me, so unfortunately only gave it 3 stars. I read Birthday Girl by Murakami Haruki. Did not rate that either. I read Sula by Toni Morrison. I gave that 3 stars. I read Romeo and Juliet and by William Shakespeare and I gave it 5 stars. And I read A Man Called Ove by Frederick Backman and I gave that 5 stars. I was crying on the train reading that. Then in February I read Yellowface by R.F. Kuang and I gave that 5 stars. I read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez and I gave that 3 stars. Also, not the biggest fan of her writing. I read Cinder by The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer and I gave that 4 stars. Very easy read, so easy, even though it's very thick, her entire series. I read The Psychology of Money did not rate that. When I say like I did not rate that, I mean I just didn't give it a rating on Goodreads. I read This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El Mater, and I gave it 2 stars. I didn't like it. I read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I gave it 4 stars. This is now in March. I read Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmus, and I gave that 5 stars. I read How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackie, and I gave it 1 star. I hated that book, and I know that Jack Edwards loves it, I think, because he got Bella Mackie to come in and do a podcast episode, but I did not enjoy it at all, in the slightest. I read Wrath of the Triple Goddess by Rick Riordan, which came out, that's in May now, so I'm kind of skipping dates. The only book I read in April was How to Kill Your Family. It must have been a busy month, but I love anything Percy Jackson, and I will always keep up to date with them, but I didn't rate it on Goodreads because I feel like I'm not the target audience, and it would be biased if I were to rate it. I read Cress by Marissa Meyer, and I gave it 5 stars. I read Caraval by Stephanie Garber, and I gave it 4 stars. Still haven't read the second one, but I loved the first one. I read Voice of the Ocean by Kelsey Impeach, and I gave it 4 stars. I read that on my holiday. Beautiful. Got a nice tan. I read My Killer Vacation by Tessa Bailey, and I gave it 1 star because, Tessa, what were you thinking? Like, I've read her other book and I loved it. I think, I don't know what it was. I can't remember the name, but the first one's very popular. I haven't read that one, but I read the second one and I loved that book. And this one was just not a bit of me. Anyway, I read Twisted Love by Anna Huang. I gave it 2 stars. And I read Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams, and I gave it 3 stars. Then in June, I read Winter, which is the last book in the Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, and I gave it 5 stars. I love that series. It's a very easy read. Then I read The Half of It by Madison Beer. Didn't rate that. I read Evenings and Weekends in July, and I gave it 4 stars by Oisin McKenna. And then I think I listened to the audiobook in October of The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, and I gave it 3 stars. This is like in Erasmus era. I read Oxygen Mask by Jason Reynolds, and I didn't rate that. I read Friendaholic, this is the audiobook. Confessions of a Friendship Addict by Elizabeth Day, and I gave it 3 stars. I read or listened to the audiobook of Frankenstein in November, and by Mary Shelley. I actually loved that book, but I didn't rate it on Goodreads. Then I listened to the audiobook of A Court of Frost and Starlight by Sarah J. Maas, and I gave that 3 stars. It's the only one in the series I hadn't read, so I was like, might as well. I read Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and I gave it 5 stars. Great book, and that was November as well. Then in December, I read Cultish, The Language of Fanaticism by Amanda Montell. I gave it 2 stars because it's really less about language and more about the cults in general. And I read Mr. Salary by Sally Rooney, and I gave it 5 stars. I read Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I gave that 5 stars. And this was great because I was so cozy in my house in Ireland. Is that the last book I read? Yeah, that is the last book I read. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And so far this year, I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. And I'm currently reading, what are the names? House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J Maas, and The Picture of Dorian Gray, which my friend gave to me. We came back from Norway yesterday and she finished a book on the bus and gave it to me, which is great. I also start college today in the evening. I need to make my timetable out for that, and I'm really stressed. I haven't been to college in so long, it feels like, other than exams, and it's very taxing. So yeah, please pray for me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Please let me know how many books you read. It's not a competition. I always have to remind myself because people read like hundreds of books a year, but I don't have the time for that. And I like reading what I like reading. I like silly little rom-coms, fantasy, and I also like reading classics, and I think that's okay. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. Have an amazing night or day wherever you're watching this, and I'm wishing you lots of love and sweet dreams.